Good morning, Paul and Bhargav. It's Tuesday, the 20th of June. Here's the heads up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 20 issues. In North Asia, we covered 3. And for Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 5. In South Asia, we covered 22 issues, plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Excellent. Thanks. Go ahead, Uday. Hi, Bhargav. How are you going?
Hey, Paul.
In Thailand, the Election Commission certified the election results for all 500 members of the lower house of parliament yesterday. So as per the latest timeline, the House is expected to convene by the 3rd of July and vote for the House Speaker and 2 deputy speakers. The King is expected to officially open Parliament on the 26th of July, and the selection of the Prime Minister will follow around the 3rd of August.
Okay, so this is a really interesting way it's trending. I mean, it appears that they are going to ratify the lower house. So the immediate unrest has probably been averted. It's only how they then go about the military senators appointing or meddling with the Prime Minister's appointment. So how do you see it unfolding, Uday?
Paul, at this moment, I think, as you said, we have to see whether the Move Forward Party can form the government, which is still unlikely because the prime ministerial vote, it's unlikely that PITA will have the support of the 250 senators. And he still stands to be disqualified at this point. So I think it's calm for now, but yeah.
Do you think it's more likely we're going to see unrest once the public realises that Peter's been shut out of the prime ministership?
Yes, there is a possibility if he gets pushed away, which is likely.
Okay, thank you.
In Indonesia, former Papua Governor Lucas Nmb was charged at a court in Jakarta yesterday for accepting bribes of nearly $4 million. This includes for allocating resource projects and development projects.
Well, look, I mean, it's interesting. They're always quick to investigate the Papuans that are corrupt. They're probably better off focusing on the 40 million and the 400 million getting stolen by various entities in Jakarta. So whilst Lucas Nmbe's thoroughly deserved the hiding he's getting in the courts, they seem to have jumped past about 300 officials to get at the guy in Papua. So there's obviously a political dimension there too. Look, by the way, I'm obviously busy in central New South Wales, catching up with family and cycling. But has there been any news lately on the kidnapped pilot or not?
No, Paul, not since late May when the TPNBP, the West Papua National Liberation Army, issued a 2-month ultimatum for countries to begin negotiations. And as of now, the pilot has been in captivity for over 130 days. This is the longest hostage-taking situation in Papua. It's crossed over the Maputuma incident.
Yeah, interesting. And the Maputuma obviously was a lot more high profile because it was the WWF people that were the victims, and it was ultimately yet another botched military operation by the Indonesian Special Forces. It crashed a helicopter coming in, ended up painting up a helicopter in a red cross, breaking in all kinds of conventions to mount the rescue. The main fatalities were actually the crashed helicopter by the SF in their rehearsal, the Indonesian Kopassus. But the fact he's been there so long now, he's had a good chance to develop a relationship with him. Mr. Mertens, his name is. He's quite a good Bahasa speaker, so I doubt that they will kill him. They're more likely to ditch him when they realise that you're not going to get freedom by taking a Kiwi. The Indonesian government couldn't give a flying damn about one dude in the middle of Irian Jaya, as far as they're concerned, white or black. If you're living in what used to be Irian Jaya, in Papua, you're second-class citizen, if not 10th-class citizen. There's a lot of discrimination against everything on that island. So I think he is greater chance. Normally, if you haven't been rescued in the first few days, but given that he's going to have spent so long with them, he is a Bahasa speaker. I think they'll actually, TPNPB, members of it, they're not all psychopathic criminal murderers. Some of them will have empathy and a brain. So I think it's now, even though what are we now, 3 weeks into we're going to kill him in 60-day threat.
Yes.
But I think he'll actually be able to develop a bit of a rapport and probably just get ditched somewhere for pick up. They'll tell him to walk downstream till you hit a village or something. But you know, let's hope it does go that way and not the other way. But obviously, there's just no political manoeuvring on that in terms of Indonesia's not going to look at their demands. Their demands are absurd, showing their lack of capacity to think things through by the TP and PB. Thank you.
Right. In Myanmar, the US government will impose additional sanctions on state-owned banks, including the Myanmar Foreign Trade Bank and the Myanmar Investment and Commercial Bank. This is as it tries to cut off funds to the military. The sanctions will take effect from today.
Okay, great. And look, just while we're on Myanmar, Bhargav, after Tap and I come back from China, probably going to get Tap in there to do a job for us. I'll explain that to you after this call. If you can give me another ring back, okay?
Certainly, Paul. Thank you.
In Timor-Leste, the National Congress for Timorese Reconstruction formally approved the formation of a coalition with the Democratic Party to form the new government. The new government's term will start on the 1st of July.
Excellent. How many seats do they have between the PD and the CNRT, mate?
They have about 36 or 37.
Okay, so they've got what, 3 or 4 spares beyond the majority
Yes.
requirement. That's great. Okay, thank you.
And in Papua New Guinea, Police Commissioner David Manning stated that kidnappings and ransom demands pose a new and emerging threat to national security.
Yeah, look, Manning's a good man. He's a very, very good man. He's a straight shooter. He's actually acknowledged that the kidnap and ransom situation is getting worse, and that what he's failed chat there is we just were not resourced to deal with this. The lack of governance, the lack of funding, the lack of care, the lack of financing towards from budget to security forces doesn't go well. And we're talking about Menembe on the Indonesian side of the border stealing 4 million. You can add a few noughts to that on what's been stolen out of government entities and government personnel and entities and their hangers-on in Port Moresby in the Papua New Guinea side of the Indonesian border. So we really need to just monitor anything Manning says. We need to actually ensure that we're linked into the various Facebook chat groups that Manning has, and that the various elements of the societal community policing have, because Manning's one of the few people in Papua New Guinea that's gold dust in terms of what he says is always on the money, okay?
Yeah, noted, Paul. We'll follow Manning's statements closely. Moving over to South Asia, in Bangladesh, the opposition Ganatantra Mancha coalition will be holding protest rally from Dhaka to Chittagong. They're demanding a caretaker government in place for the upcoming general elections. Violence is likely.
More of such rallies and protests can be expected before the elections in Jan next year. The opposition is fragmented. However, the Awami League-led government is unlikely to relent and appoint a caretaker government. It doesn't seem to be budging anytime soon. As long as the opposition is fragmented, it's advantage Sheikh Hasina. So we'll have to look out for more such protests and how it may disrupt businesses across the country.
Right, we'll keep an eye out on it. And in Pakistan, the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz said that it will not enter any alliance with any political party ahead of the upcoming general elections. They will contest it on their own.
Yeah, the real cracks within the PDM coalition led by PMLN is actually coming through. Now that the primary enemy, or rather the common enemy, Imran Khan and his party and his supporters are all down and out pretty much. The real cracks are appearing, and going towards the election, it's unlikely that any patch up is possible. I mean, it's all fair game now among the coalition partners once they have gotten rid of Imran Khan, the disruptor.
Right. And in Europe, in Moldova, the Constitutional Court banned the pro-Russian Shore Party yesterday and declared it unconstitutional. Protests could be possible by pro-Russian supporters in Moldova.
This seems more and more like Ukraine before the war, more more in 2013 or 2014. This is unlikely to calm down the tensions with Russia, which is ongoing across the region. So I'm not too sure what they want to achieve by banning a pro-Russia party rather than placating them. Sorry.
Right. And NATO said that it was ready to take action to maintain peace in Kosovo and called for the de-escalation of tensions. This comes after the tensions and unrest with Serb protesters. Violence had broken out in North Kosovo late in May.
That is a contradictory statement. They want to take action, they're ready to take action, but they want to de-escalate. I guess that's classic NATO for you. So I do not see how this is going to make things any better with Serbia in picture. Now that Russia is on the upswing, they may actually come in and support the Serbians like back in the 90s. So we'll have to watch out how this plays out on the ground.
Great, we'll keep an eye out on it. That's the heads up brief for today. Anything else from you?
Nothing else from my Uday. Thank you.
Excellent brief. Thanks, Uday.